Good evening, visitors, and welcome to the Australian War Memorial's Last Post ceremony. My name is Sharon Bown, and joining us this evening from the Australian Army is Warrant Officer Class 1, Cheryl Elston. We warmly welcome the family of Private Frank Franklin, who are watching the live stream of this evening's ceremony. His story will be told shortly. We welcome the veterans who have served, those that are still serving, and the families that love and support them. We acknowledge the members of RSL and Services Clubs Association, RSL Victoria and RSL Queensland, who are watching the broadcast of this ceremony across Australia. During this evening's ceremony, wreaths will be laid at the base of the pool of reflection by visitors to the memorial. If you are able, would you please stand and join in singing the National Anthem? Those requiring a seat, please be seated. The Australian War Memorial was the vision of Charles Bean, Australia's First World War official historian. Bean landed with the Australian troops on Gallipoli and stayed with them at the front through to the end of the war. The idea of this national memorial and museum came to him at Pozières, France, in the depths of the bloody fighting of 1916. Bean's idea was that this would be a place where families and friends could mourn loved ones buried in faraway places. It would also be a place that could help all Australians understand what these men and women had endured and what they had done for us. Bean's vision, to which we remain true, is best expressed as inscribed in the entrance to the memorial's galleries. Here is their spirit, in the heart of the land they loved, and here we guard the record which they themselves made. Tonight we will read the story behind just one of those on the Roll of Honour, which lists the names of more than 102,000 men and women who have given their lives for us in war and on operations for more than a century. But first, we present a lament, Flowers of the Forest. Wreaths and floral tributes will now be laid at the base of the pool of reflection.
Today we remember and pay tribute to Private Frank Franklin. Frank Franklin was born in 1893, the third of 5 children born to William and Emma Franklin of Milltown near Haywood in the southwest of Victoria. Franklin attended the local school at Mount Eckersley and later worked as an engine driver. He also received training for farm work and was a member of the local Haywood Rifle Club. Franklin enlisted in the Australian Imperial Force on the 20th of January 1915 and soon began training with reinforcements of the 14th Infantry Battalion, part of the 4th Brigade of the 4th Division. Franklin's brother, Benjamin, enlisted 2 days later and later served in the 13th Australian Light Horse Regiment, winning a military medal while serving on the Western Front in France in 1918. After a brief period of training, Private Frank Franklin sailed for Egypt and in June 1915 joined the Mediterranean Expeditionary Force bound for Gallipoli. Franklin was on Gallipoli for less than a month before being evacuated to Egypt suffering from dysentery. He would not rejoin his unit until mid-August. Just days after he returned to Gallipoli, Franklin took part in the Australian, Indian, New Zealand and British attempt to seize an area of high ground known as Hill 60. The attack on Hill 60 was intended to expand the territory held by the Allies near Anzac Cove and to protect freshly landed British forces at nearby Suvla Bay. The first attack began on the 21st of August, managed to gain part of the hill, but not the well-defended high ground. A second attack the next day by the Australian 5th Brigade also failed with terrible casualties. The final attempt to take Hill 60 began on the afternoon of the 27th of August and lasted for 3 days. Australian, British and New Zealand troops fought in a costly, confused and indecisive battle and suffered terrible casualties. Franklin was one of 104 men of the severely depleted 14th Battalion who took part in the initial attack on the 27th of August. Only 30 would return to camp the following day. Franklin was with those men as they made their way towards forward positions to make the main advance, but was shot through the head and killed instantly as he moved through a communication trench. His body was placed on the parapet of the trench to allow the rest of the men to get through. And in the chaos of the subsequent battle, his final resting place was lost. He was 22 years old. He was originally reported missing in action, but it was not until April 1916 that his family received confirmation that he was officially recorded as killed in action. With no known grave, today his name is listed on the Lone Pine Memorial on Gallipoli, which commemorates more than 4,900 Australian and New Zealand servicemen who have no known grave. Private Franklin's name is listed on the Roll of Honour on my right, among almost 62,000 Australians who died while serving in the First World War. A photograph of his name listed on the Lone Pine Memorial is displayed today beside the pool of reflection. This is but one of the many stories of service and sacrifice told here at the Australian War Memorial. We now remember Private Frank Franklin, who gave his life for us, for our freedoms, and in the hope of a better world.
Please stand for the reading of the Ode and the sounding of the last post.
They shall grow not old, as we that are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun and in the morning, we will remember them.
We will remember them.
lest we forget.
Lest we forget. We leave you this evening with the words of the memorial's founder, Charles Bean. Many a man lying out there at Poziere or in the low scrub at Gallipoli, with his poor, tired senses barely working through the fever of his brain, has thought in his last moments, well, it's over. But in Australia, they will be proud of this. Ladies and gentlemen, girls and boys, that concludes the last post ceremony. On behalf of the Director and the staff, thank you for visiting the Australian War Memorial today and for your continued support of the Memorial's development project. We particularly appreciate your visit despite the challenges posed by COVID, and we wish you all a very pleasant evening. Thank you.